When the 1988 college football season began, it was the Florida State Seminoles atop the heap. Loaded with talent, they were everyone's preseason #1. But it only lasted a week as Miami taught them an early lesson. Despite the loss, Bobby Bowden still believed he could win it all. His team then ran off 6 straight wins. But in week 8, they were jolted with a drop from 5th to 7th in the AP poll. Bowden was furious, and he vented it with a 66-3 hammering of Louisiana Tech. But his message wasn't loud enough because this week UPI dropped them to #8. The Seminoles believe they're as good as anyone. Tonight, they try to convince the nation. With off-the-field distractions hanging over the head of the South Carolina football program, Joe Morrison had to wonder how his team would respond on the field. But like their coach, the Gamecocks were resilient. Linebacker Patrick Hinton keyed a big play defense with 3 interceptions and a fumble recovery, while quarterback Todd Ellis stood tall and shot down NC State in Raleigh. Tonight, over 72,000 have come to Williams-Brice Stadium to welcome home the Gamecocks as South Carolina faces its biggest test against Florida State. Independents match it up tonight. Florida State #5 in the nation. South Carolina #15. We're at the home of the Gamecocks, Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia. Good evening. I'm Bob Carpenter along with Kevin Conley. It's an evening of aspirations here. South Carolina still aspiring to a major bowl. Florida State still to a possible national championship. Let's talk about the Gamecocks defensively, Kevin. What surprises does Joe Lee Dunn and company have in store for us tonight?
I don't know. If you're a defensive football player, you have to love playing for Joe Lee Dunn, the defensive coordinator of South Carolina. Pressure defense. They run around all night. They'll come after you. So what did they do last week against North Carolina State? They never play zone. They come out in the zone. And not only did they confuse North Carolina State and win the game, but Florida State, sitting home watching the ball game, getting ready, saw zone, and now they don't know what to do. They've had to change their game plan.
And this is not the kind of defense you want to go after with anything less than your best people.
Well, that's right, Bobby. It's because of the pressure. They make you make quick decisions. You need experience, especially at that quarterback position. He's got to be a guy who can recognize blitzes and make that quick decision, and they've got a problem there tonight.
That's because Chip Ferguson is on the bench with a separated shoulder. So what about Peter Tom Willis?
What about Peter Tom Willis? Peter Tom Willis is the question mark. He's only thrown 47 passes all year. He needs to have success early in this game. If he completes a few early, they get that offense rolling, and Florida State's going to be tough. If he has a problem, it could be a disaster.
A cool evening with great atmosphere here in Columbia. So down to the sideline. Here's Chris Fowler.
Okay, thanks very much, Bob. Folks, a real treat tonight. You get to see one of the 5 best college football players in America. He is Deion Sanders, the cornerback for Florida State. He can dominate a game from that position. He's kind of college's version of Bo Jackson, an All-American in football, a pretty good baseball player drafted by the Yankees, and also an All-American sprinter in track. He qualified for the Olympic trials. One more thing you need to know about Deion, his nickname is Prime Time. Tonight is his element. He loves a big hostile crowd. He'll play to the cameras, and he loves to taunt the opposing team. Keep an eye on #2 for Florida State. Bob?
And #2 and the Seminoles of Florida State in enemy territory. And a tradition of the Gamecocks here is to welcome the home team with the sounds of 2001. presentation of CFA football is being brought to you by Michelob. One taste will tell you why the night belongs to Michelob. By AT&T, the right choice. And by Casio Tone Bank Keyboard with real piano sound. Casio, where miracles never cease. The most interesting series. It started not too long ago, back in the 60s, and Florida State has dominated. It's been a high-scoring series in the 80s, and the last time they met 2 years ago when FSU came out on top in a typically high-scoring ball game. Joe Morrison is in his 6th year with the Gamecocks, and he got number 100 up at NC State, a ball game you saw here on ESPN a week ago. So the former New York Giant making a pretty good living for himself as a major college head coach as well. Big crowd here tonight, and they are into this one. What an introduction of the teams that was, Kevin Kiley.
This is a great place to do a ball game. It's just, I've been here a number of times, and it's always exciting every time I come here.
Florida State won the toss. They will defer until the second half, so they will kick it. You're looking at Richie Andrews, a sophomore. Number 49 is Robert Brooks, a freshman, as well as 27, Gerald Williams, a junior, back to receive it. And we're set for the Gamecocks against the Seminoles here in Columbia, South Carolina. The left footer puts it down to the 2, where Gerald Williams has it. Williams breaks it out over the 30. The ball is on the ground, but he had been called down. Let's check the Gamecocks offensively. Todd Ellis completing 55% of his passes is the quarterback. Fullback Keith Bing works in front of talented tailback Harold Green. Exciting freshman Robert Brooks and sophomore Anthony Parler, the wide receivers. Another receiver lining up the tight end, sophomore Carl Platt. Senior Randy Harwell, the center. The guards are Paul Shivers, the senior. Sophomore Calvin Stevens. Sophomore Mike Harris and junior Mark Fryer are the tackles. 31-yard line. Keith Bing and Harold Green behind Todd Ellis. A fake and out to the right side. It's Robert Brooks cutting it back in, looking to break it, and he's out over the 35 to the 37-yard line. Florida State defensively, it starts with the All-American Odell Haggins. He's the nose guard. The tackles are veterans Eric Hayes, an All-American last year, and fifth-year senior Steve Gabbard. Shelton Thompson and John Hadley, the outside linebackers. Talented sophomore Kelvin Smith, joined by senior Felton Hayes at inside backer. Secondary talented Mr. Primetime Deion Sanders, as well as Tracy Sanders. And the safeties stand Shiver and Dedrick Dodge. On 2nd and 4, it's Harold Green out near first down yardage. He had to get to the 41-yard line. Kelvin Smith, an inside backer, the strong side backer, on the stop, number 36. Bobby Bowden. What a turnaround over the years at Florida State. He's in his 13th year. This program won 250 games in 41 years before he showed up. Not too many. They'll measure it as it was 2nd and 4. A little wobbly on the stick, and it's going to be 3rd and about an inch or 2.
Calvin Stevens is the best lineman for South Carolina. He's their right guard. He's the guy you need in short yardage you need to watch. Nothing fancy really about South Carolina. They'll pound it right at you when they run the ball.
Third down conversions this year, they have an efficiency of 41%. And the Florida State defense spread out a bit. They don't necessarily expect a straight ahead play here. That's what that hit, though. Harold Green breaks it out near midfield. Kelvin Smith rides him down, a 9-yard gain on 3rd and inches, and the Gamecocks have their first drive in progress.
Well, this play was designed to go left, but watch Green. He doesn't follow his block. He sees something up the middle, and this is what Green can do to you. He's a tremendous back. He not only breaks it for a first down, but a little bit more.
Harold Green maybe not as fit as he was a week ago after the week off, but he's still taking it pretty well, and he's been riddled by some nagging injuries this season. 1st and 10 at the 49. 2 men to the right. Ellis looking that way, and gambling Deion Sanders almost took that one back for 6.
I want you to watch number 2. They say he has tremendous closing speed. He'll play off, but he'll come up fast. Watch how quick this guy runs. Look at that. If that ball was on the mark, it might have been intercepted. Now, I'm surprised. It's man coverage. They go right after everybody's All-American Deion Sanders. That's confidence in Ellis, but I don't know if it's wise.
Maybe the last time you see that pass tonight. Trent Simpson is in there. Ike Harris also in a tight end position. The ball is fumbled at midfield, and the Seminoles have it. Kelvin Smith, 36. Harold Green on the turnover. Deion Sanders leads his teammates off the field after the turnover.
Well, Harold Green never did have this ball. He kicks it right there on the handoff, and now it's loose. Just a matter of where it ends up, and it ends up in Florida State's hands.
The early part of the game will be a key for Peter Tom Willis, a 6'3" junior quarterback for Florida State. He is expected to be pressured all night long. To the deep man, that's Chris Parker, a 6-foot freshman. Let's meet the Seminoles offensively. With Ferguson injured, they go with junior Peter Tom Willis at quarterback. Fullback Dane Williams is very good in short yardage. The tailback, freshman Chris Parker. Juniors Ronald Lewis and Terry Anthony following a long line of great FSU wide receivers. Senior Tom O'Malley the start at tight end. Michael Tanks tries to anchor center, a problem position this year. The guards Tony Yeomans and Jason Kuipers. At tackle, seniors Joey Ionata and All-American Pat Tomberlin, one of the Seminoles' best ever on the offensive line. They got 6 on first down. Willis with time. Long to the end zone, and a score to Terry Anthony. 44 yards, and the visiting team takes the lead 2.5 minutes in. Richie Andrews, 37 of 37 this year. A little bit to his left, but through the uprights. And only 2.5 minutes into the game, Florida State strikes with a big play of 44 yards.
Well, it's a big play defense. We talked about it. He gets enough protection. Watch Willis. He's going to get hit after he throws it. But Terry Anthony, who had 24 catches coming in against that man-to-man coverage, he beats Stephen Williams, and it was all over.
And we talked about how the early part of the game would be so important to the confidence of Peter Tom Willis. He just threw his 4th touchdown pass of the year, and it's 7-0 Seminoles, as the crowd for the moment in Columbia is very shocked. And the stadium here in Columbia very quiet for being only 2 minutes and 34 seconds into the game. The Gamecocks will receive their second kickoff from the foot of Richie Andrews, trailing now 7-0 after that big play. Out of bounds on the near side toward Robert Brooks. They'll back it up and kick it once more. Kicking out of bounds is something we expect to see on punting tonight. Yeah. South Carolina punts to Deion Sanders and company.
Let's go back to that touchdown. One of the main concerns was the center position. Michael Tanks, the 4th center to play, number 68 for Florida State. Whether or not he could give him pass protection, he's holding a little bit there. He gives him just enough time to get that pass off. That is a concern. Another concern for South Carolina was, and Joe Morrison, as you look at him, is whether or not Florida State would get away with holding. They're famous for doing a little bit of holding, and they were going to talk to the officials before the game. You saw an example there of maybe a little bit of holding, and I'm sure that the officials' attention will be brought to that.
It was a scoring drive, mainly through the air. Half the field in 2 plays. Less than a minute, Terry Anthony gathered in his 7th touchdown catch of the year. His longest had been 26, so he can add 44 on to that. At the 7 will be Robert Brooks. Cutting, slanting to his right. out near the 23, maybe the 24-yard line after an 18-yard return. So we'll see the Gamecocks offensively for the second time this evening. They're averaging 115 yards a game on the ground, 230 through the air, and outscoring their opponents 24-12. Todd Ellis, of course, is on a pace, as we mentioned last week, to surpass the former San Diego State star Todd Santos as the #1 passer all time in Division 1A. The pitch is to Harold Green. Bounced out at the 29 or so. Tracy Sanders, 16 up to get him. Little pursuit outside by nose guard Odell Haggins. Coach Al Groh, the offensive coordinator for the Gamecocks, concerned about some of these guys on Florida State's team that can really wreck things for you defensively, Kev.
That's what Al called them, Bobby. Game wreckers, and he set his protection against Sanders, Moss, and Dinkins. Moss and Dinkins really playing passing situations so they wouldn't disrupt his offense.
Yeah, and there are a couple of young guys. Moss is sophomore, Dinkins a freshman. They don't even start. Green off the left side, hit hard there, and there's some sticking going on down there on the part of the Seminoles in red and gold. John Hadley from right defensive end, 21 right there, in on the stop.
South Carolina needs to take advantage of their personnel. They feel they can run the long trap. You see it here with Stevens and Fryer coming to the other side. The Seminoles are playing basic pass defense on first down against South Carolina. They're almost giving them the run and taking away the pass early.
3rd and 2 at the 32. No, sir. Harold Green taken down hard. Odell Haggins. He's had a bad ankle this season. He returned against Louisiana Tech a couple of weeks ago. It seemed like a couple of years ago for the Texters, though. They had 3 yards rushing that day.
Yeah, that was a long day for them. Haggins is a guy that they call a natural leader. They say he's somebody that whether he plays 100% on the field because of an injury or not, he's a natural leader. There's another natural leader, a guy that's very dangerous on punts.
In these situations in Tallahassee, the folks are up on their feet waiting for a punt return. The kicker is Rodney Price. They were coming, and he just got it away. End over end over the near sideline at the 47-yard line of South Carolina. Great pressure by Alan Stewart on special teams. And South Carolina now, as a flag has been thrown, celebrating a possible roughing the kicker.
Well, I think it might be offsides on Stewart. I don't know. They blocked 33 punts since Bobby Bowden took over Florida State. I mean, this is an offensive play for Florida State. It was offsides on him, Bobby. And their punt return team is a weapon, and I mean a big weapon. Watch the right side of your screen here. Stewart. I believe he got a hand on this ball. No, he didn't. They were trying to block. They were trying to kick it out of bounds, but the pressure forced them to just yank it. That's a big break, that offsides penalty.
So instead of the defense being on the field at their own 47-yard line, South Carolina's offense will have it at the Gamecock 38. We're just over 4 minutes into the game. It's been eventful so far. They split the backs this time. Little play action to the first man through Green, and then up the middle, and a nice catch by Carl Platt, the sophomore tight end. He was the leading receiver in terms of yardage coming in with 410, averaging 15 yards a catch. And a flag on that play as well.
Holding on the defense.
Defensive holding.
That's not the kind of holding that Joe Morrison told them to look for.
Yeah.
It was on offense, but this one will move it out further.
Coming into this game, Bobby, 59 penalties, 523 yards against Florida State. 2 penalties already here early in the first quarter.
So the ball is moved across midfield. It's actually just beyond the 49 of Florida State. On the near side, Eddie Miller caught a touchdown pass a week ago. The backs are back in the eye. Little movement on the left side of the defensive line as Harold Green fights his way inside the 45 of Florida State. Kelvin Smith on the stop, but again, early movement by the Seminoles.
Well, that's a play. When you're playing defense, you go on movement. You're supposed to watch. If you're close to the ball, you pretty much keep your eye on the ball and the player in front of you. That far out on the defense, you have to look at, you don't move unless the guy in front of you moves. Now, what this might be is a staggered snap count by Ellis, left side of your screen, Eric Hayes. And they hike the ball. Of course, as soon as he enters the neutral zone, the center should hike the ball because it's a free play. Luckily, they had the play called to that side, so they had him out of position.
So flags hurting the Seminoles now. South Carolina just flagging its way to a first down again. There's the pitch to Green, short side of the field, and he slants his way out of bounds right around the 40-yard line. Maybe got over the 40, near first down yardage. Odell Haggins got him. Harold Green is averaging 3.5 yards a carry. Got a touchdown last week. He's missed about 10 quarters of football this year, Kevin, and still has some pretty good statistics. And we saw last week with the combination of him and Mike Dingle late in the game, Joe Morrison has some good backs to go tandem with if he wants to.
They have tremendous backs. In fact, I said last week, Bobby, we talked about the fact that South Carolina may have the best 3 backs in the country. If you count all 3 of them, they're very talented.
First down at the 38. Harold Green again. Looks like the left tackle Eric Hayes got him. This is the first time that Florida State's front line has been healthy since the Miami game. There's Al Groh, the offensive coordinator of the Gamecocks. Very bright individual who's filled us in on their offense the last couple of weeks.
Nice man. Former head coach at Wake Forest. Those in the ACC may remember him. And what he does early in the game, he'll sequence plays to get a look at different defenses from Florida State. Then he'll make determinations on what he wants to run for the rest of the game.
Yeah, he calls that making contact, waiting for the home run later. Second down and 8. Ellis with a deep drop and a lot of time. Intercepted. Stan Shiver, the strong safety. That's his second of the year and his 9th career interception. Plays the strong safety position. He was freelancing as the center fielder back there, and the ball was basically delivered right to his numbers.
Well, this is one of the problems they've had with Todd Ellis. Now, the protection is super here. They do a tremendous job. Ellis has all day. He's going to sit back there. Shiver is one of the guys, he didn't call him a game wrecker, but he said he was very dangerous, Al Groh did, and here's why. There's really nothing here. Ellis throws it right into the hole. That ball was behind the receiver to begin with. Safety sitting there and makes the interception. Ellis has had a problem with interception.
He's now thrown 15 on the year and 10 in his last 4 games. On the run, Peter Tom Willis delivering it to Ronald Lewis, a 6-foot junior out of Jacksonville, who is the most explosive of the 4 receivers and the 2 tight ends. They will rotate in and out of the ball game.
Well, one of the things you can do against the pressure defense, South Carolina sending 7 and 8 men all the time, is roll out your quarterback. Willis mobile enough to get outside, and then the speed of those receivers will create problems. Pressure defense has got to get to the quarterback. If it doesn't, you've got problems.
First down at the 47. .35 is Chris Parker. Let's meet the Gamecocks defensively now. Sophomore Tim High is the nose guard for the Gamecocks. Freshman Marty Dye, senior Derek Frazier the tackles. SC's best defensive player, senior Kevin Hendricks, a defensive end, with junior David Taylor. The linebackers, senior Derek Little fighting a knee problem, and last week's hero, sophomore Patrick Hinton. Veterans Robert Robinson and Stephon Williams play the corners, while Scott Windsor, a converted defensive end, Dale Campbell with Pat Turner hurt, starting at safety. Free safety Ron Rabune, the #1 tackler of the Gamecocks, could see action coming back from injury here tonight. 2nd and 10. Peter Tom Willis with time, and Ronald Lewis, a 1.5 yards beyond the first down marker, gathers it in. Robert Robinson on the coverage, but not a whole lot he could do. And we're seeing the strength of the arm of this young man that Bobby Bowden crowed about yesterday.
Yeah, they talked about it might be a factor. His arm is actually a little stronger than Ferguson's. He pulls up. This is a great catch by Lewis. They said that gun arm might help him. It helped him right there because the coverage was there. Lewis is a possession receiver that runs 4.35 in the 40. That's scary.
1st and 10 at the 42 of South Carolina. Chris Parker, the freshman, bouncing ahead for several. Patrick Hinton, the inside linebacker, who had the big game a week ago with 3 interceptions, a fumble recovery against NC State. Number 46, the big reason the Gamecocks went to Raleigh and came back with a W. Both teams come into the game with a record of 7-1. 2nd and 7. Dexter Carter is in. They'll rotate Carter and Parker some. We may see Sammy Smith at tailback tonight as well. A slant-in pattern across the middle, and Terry Anthony has it. Anthony, a 6-foot junior out of Daytona Beach, averaging 16 yards a catch. And Peter Tom Willis has it right on the mark.
Very well designed play. Short drop. They've used motion to pull the safety out of there, and then a quick slant to the receiver. Watch. They pull the safety the other way. You have a wide open slant there, and Peter Tom delivered the ball.
He had Derek Frazier looking right in between his face mask and short-armed it for a 1st down. It's 1st and 10 at the 25. First man through, Dane Williams, the fullback. He's a key man in short yardage. Don't forget about him when they get down near the goal line in what they call their wham offense.
They've had some difficulty, Bobby, running the ball in short yardage this year, and the reason has been because of the center position. We showed you Mike Tanks earlier, what a fine job he did. It's basically the same offensive line they had last year, except for the center position. They've had to make some adjustments to cover for that position, and they have not run the ball as well as they have in previous years. So when they get inside the 10, they're more of a finesse team than they have been previously.
A story emerging in the secondary of South Carolina as Ron Rabune is in for the first time in several weeks. To the end zone, and out of bounds, Terry Anthony. Came down with it beautifully, but he was over the line. We do have a flag on the play, sitting at the 32-yard line. The line of scrimmage was the 23, so back in the offensive backfield.
This is not only holding, this is outrageous holding. They're protecting Willis. There's your blocking in the center of the line. Where it happens is in the backfield. There's not too much holding there. There are some people dragged down here. You're going to see just before he look on the right of your screen. We're talking tackling here. The official right there, and then the end of the play, you can see his feet are out of bounds. Now, South Carolina made a point of this, that they were going to talk to the officials about holding. Florida State has a history of holding. There's Joe Lee Dunn right there. And for a defensive coordinator, you know he'd rather be on the field. He's got to watch.
Peter Tom Willis perfect so far. It's 2nd and long. Nothing much there to Dexter Carter. Right in the middle of your screen there, you see number 15 in the black jersey. That is Ron Rabune of South Carolina. He dislocated his shoulder at Georgia Tech a couple of weeks ago, was not able to start or even play at NC State. He's listed 3rd in the depth chart at free safety, and they have another injury there. Pat Turner, who played last week, has a groin pull, so the senior Rabune, a good tackler with all that experience required in there right now for Joe Lee Dunn.
They absolutely must have him, Bobby. You're right. He's a guy, when you play this type of defense, you've got to have a safety that does not make mistakes. Rabune is that type of player.
They have to get to the 15 for a 1st down. It's 3rd down and 17. Sack time and maybe a fumble. The arm evidently was not in motion to throw. David Taylor from right outside linebacker all over Peter Tom Willis. Gamecocks have it.
Folks, this booth is shaking. Peter Tom Willis has more time than he should ever need to throw this ball. Taylor is finally going to get him from behind. This causes the fumble. The blocking was excellent. Willis has got to understand, and he doesn't play that often, as you see him recover the fumble against the pressure defense. Even if you don't see it, it's coming. You've got to get rid of the ball.
And in this stadium, there's nobody that's going to let you know either.
Now, this booth is shaking, Bobby. I may be getting out of here in a minute.
Mike Dingle is in there on first down at the 40. He's got the deep pitch, and here he goes. This guy is dangerous. A sophomore out of Moncks Corner, South Carolina. He is the tailback of the future. And it's interesting, Kevin, he sees a lot of time at fullback at this stage of his career, but so did a couple of guys. Marcus Allen comes to mind, who later won a Heisman at tailback at Southern Cal. He was backing up Charles White. I'm not sure Mike Dingle will win a Heisman, but he is the guy who will be getting that deep pitch in the future at this school. 2nd and 5 at the 45. Clock runs with 4:35 first quarter. 7-0 Florida State. Nobody to hand it off to, and then Todd Ellis lost his footing, and that'll cost them 5. It'll be 3rd and 10.
Well, let me make a point. You made a point about Dingle. The reason he is not in there all the time at fullback or tailback is he has been slow picking up the offense, and you saw a blown play there. Now, Bing was the fullback, Dingle was the tailback, and there was nobody to hand the ball to. That was a broken play. Dingle, they say his concentration has got to be better before they can make him a full-time back.
He's behind fullback Keith Bing on 3rd, and they'll call it a long 9. They still pitch it to him. And he'll be short by about 4 yards. Felton Hayes, the weak side linebacker, up to get him. And it'll be a 4th down play near midfield. Kicking time for the Gamecocks. And it's
prime time.
Prime time.
You may wonder about that call as you watch Sanders get ready for this punt. That was a pretty good call. Had an inside blitz. They pitched it outside and had a chance to go.
Rodney Price averaged 42 yards. A kick, and it's blocked. Down inside the 10. And easily into the end zone is Florida State. Anthony Moss. We talked about the game wreckers, and there he is on the special team. Phil Carollo, a backup outside linebacker, the one on the block, and then the touchdown by Anthony Moss. So the big play. Big for Florida State twice now in the first quarter.
Well, we talked about, we talked about they blocked 33 punts since Bobby Bowden took over. I can't imagine that they would get that kind of pressure that easily on a punt with the history that Florida State has.
That makes 39 in a row for the extra point kicker, Richie Andrews.
All right, the guy that blocks it is Carollo, number 33. And you're going to see him come in here. This is Carollo here, number 81, excuse me, making the block, the 34th block since Bobby Bowden took over. Anthony Moss picks it up, and he's in the end zone.
So with 3:18 remaining in the first quarter of play, a long pass, a block punt, and the Seminoles lead by 14. On top in the third quarter. Kentucky over Vanderbilt in the SEC. Wake Forest has taken care of the Blue Devils today. Disappointing loss for Duke after that great start. And other scores from around college football. So South Carolina has to try to mount a drive again. They start this time deep back at their own 18. Todd Ellis is 2 for 4 for 19 yards and has had one picked off. Feeling his way, Harold Green.
Freeman out of stop.
There's a look at Corian Freeman, a sophomore out of Jacksonville who spells Tracy Sanders. You never hear about the right cornerback on this team, do you?
They say he's an excellent player, a pro prospect, Tracy Sanders.
Yeah, but nobody will know that until next year.
No. Dion gets all the prime time.
Harold Green, 9 rushes, 33 yards, and a fumble. He toted the ball 24 times against NC State a week ago. They're looking his way again. He was up the middle, then tried to go to his right. Odell Haggins, the nose guard. 53 met him head on. Kevin, remember the replay we had recently when they saw 3 offensive linemen trying to bat this guy down?
This guy's got both ankles these days, and watch him get blocked, and that's a typical spin move for a middle guard, and he's right there. You fight pressure. That's all that is. That's what they tell you to do. Fight. If they're trying to push you to the left, go to the right. And there are very few big people who can make the move as well as Hagans does.
Very important 3rd and a long 3. They've actually got to get 3.5 yards here. Ellis has time. 41 is Anthony Parler. Out near first down yardage. Had to get to the 28.5-yard line. Deion Sanders and Kelvin Smith in on the stop, and it is a South Carolina first down. They'll restart the clock momentarily with 1:46 remaining in the first quarter of play.
Major concern for Al Groh, the offensive coordinator, and Joe Morrison was they didn't want to get into a game of big plays. Well, they're in a game of big plays. Florida State has hit 2 of them. So far, South Carolina has not.
Eddie Miller, explosive freshman, bottom of your screen. They'll go deep to the eye for Harold Green, short side.
Harold Green.
Pretty good yardage on first down. Tracy Sanders from right corner, knocking him down and not quite out of bounds as the clock continues to move.
Strength of this team is the secondary. We talked about Deion Sanders, Tracy Sanders. Shivers is the guy that made the interception earlier. And what Florida State is doing is they're stacking their defense inside, trying to force South Carolina wide into that secondary because they're so quick and they come up so fast they can make the play.
Deion Sanders, 4 interceptions this year, 2 of them for touchdowns. 2nd and 5 at the 34. A pump fake to the left. Now he's waiting and down the middle, and it's picked off by Leroy Butler. He will get down inside the 25 of South Carolina, and Todd Ellis has dumped the ball into heavy coverage again.
Well, now they're booing here at South Carolina. This is old Punt-Ruski now. Leroy Butler, the pump, he never goes for it. Number 6 is still sitting in the hole, but Ellis never looks. He just figures he's going to be open, see? Butler's just sitting there waiting, and that's what an experienced, talented secondary can do for you, and that's what Florida State has. A junior, a big guy, 6'0", 190, and you may remember him, 78 yards against Clemson with a fake punt.
Leroy Butler has his 2nd interception of the year. Sammy Smith is in there for Florida State, 33, the tailback. There he is, inside the 15, down to the 13.5-yard line. Sammy, the 6'2 junior out of Zellwood, Florida. He's missed the last 3 games because of injury. He's averaging 5 yards a carry, still leads the team in carries and yardage.
Heisman candidate when the season began. A lot of publicity, a lot of people on this team. Big players, and Smith was one of them. He got off to a slow start, and then the injuries and the emergence of some of the other tailbacks. Tremendous amount of talent, and Sammy's kind of taken a back seat, but he's a good, strong power runner, maybe a great runner when he's healthy.
Bobby Bowden unhappy about having star players injured at the same time. Well, most of them are back, but now he's without his quarterback. But as the first quarter comes to an end, looks like Peter Tom Willis has filled the bill. Seminoles 14, Gamecocks nothing in. Second quarter underway as soon as the ball is snapped. Florida State 2nd and 3 at the South Carolina 14-yard line. On the move with a 2-touchdown lead already. Motion man is Lawrence Dawsey. And it's out to the left side. Dane Williams, the fullback, catching the football. Out of bounds inside the 5, where strong safety Scott Windsor knocked him out.
Well, Scott Windsor, they call him a safety, but what he is a linebacker, so this is a pretty good call. You've got linebacker coverage. Windsor's 225 pounds, and Williams just outruns him to the sideline. They don't want, he's not in there for pass coverage. He's in that pressure defense as a linebacker run defender type.
On 1st and goal at the 3 tight ends in there. And again, watch for number 49, Dane Williams, the fullback. He goes off the left side. Got a little forward progress before he was pushed back. Ron Rabune coming up from free safety. Watch number 15 after number 49.
This guy, number 15, Rabune, had a dislocated shoulder just 2 weeks ago. He throws it in there, dislocation and all. Now, Florida State will run to the strength of their formation. They'll put 3 tight ends in. The fella in the backfield it's like a slot, but there's not even enough room to call him a slot, is a tight end. They have a tendency to run towards him, but they are also a finesse team, and they will use trickery when needed.
Sammy Smith is behind the fullback on 2nd and goal at the 2. A fake to the fullback. Rolling is Willis, and a touchdown pass. Easily executed for number 83. That's the tight end, Dave Roberts.
Well, this is what makes them so tough. I just told you, they like to run to the strength. So what do? They send everybody that way. Play action. It's a naked reverse waggle, whatever you want to call it, and then a wide open receiver. Very tough play against a strong offensive line. Defensively, you've got to honor the run. Florida State knows that. Brilliant call on the goal line.
Richie Andrews for his 3rd point after. Right down the middle. So 54 seconds into the 2nd quarter, it's Peter Tom Willis completing a touchdown pass for the 2nd time tonight. This one a little bit shorter, but it's 21-0. Peter Tom Willis getting the start ahead of the injured Chip Ferguson. Number 83 on the receiving end, Dave Roberts. And it's 21-0. The story from Columbia. Miscues by the home team. A couple of interceptions. A fumble, a blocked kick. And 21 Florida State points as a result. The matchup of quarterbacks, not much of a matchup right now.
No, Peter Tom Willis taking over. That's enough turnovers for a season.
Robert Brooks lets it bounce. It's through his legs. He's got to play it. Finally picks it up at his 1-yard line. And South Carolina, after the tackle by Corian Freeman on special teams, will have poor field position. Todd Ellis conferring with Al Groh, the offensive coordinator. Todd Ellis, when he's throwing the ball well, you can look at the touchdown passes.
Yeah, with 26 interceptions, when he's throwing it well, he's still, he has a history of throwing a lot of interceptions. I think that's what that graphic shows you. Even when he's good, he's still got a problem with it.
Means your defense has to do a little more work as well. 1st and 10 at the 13. Harold Green cutting up the sideline. Near a 1st down. You saw his acceleration. Howard Dinkins, that redshirt freshman, who's one of those game wreckers. Number 89 in on the action over there on the sideline as well. Dinkins, 4 sacks on the year. You see him a lot in nickelback situations. He can get to the quarterback and make the big play. Boy, South Carolina's got to get a drive without a mistake here. Good yardage on 1st down. Actually close enough to measure over there. South Carolina had the football for 40 minutes against North Carolina State a week ago. They would probably have the ball possession edge here tonight so far as well. But it's been the quick scoring of Florida State offensively, defensively, and on special teams. The difference here. It'll be 2nd and 1. Harold Green vaulting blockers and tacklers. Looks like his forward motion took him across the needed yardage. 21-0 here in Columbia with the visiting team on top. Louisville still playing well, leading Tech in the 3rd. Memphis State early. The Zips on top of the Aggies. That's in the 4th quarter. And the Colonels on top at halftime. 13.5 minutes remaining before halftime. Todd Ellis gives it to Harold Green. Anthony Moss, Eric Hayes, Howard Dinkins all flying to the football defensively. Harold Green's already carried the ball 14 times. 58 yards and has coughed it up once. Had 3 touchdowns against the Wolfpack a week ago in that 23-7 win. There's the situation here at the home of the Gamecocks. They need a good drive, maybe a big play or two, to get this crowd back in the game. Play action. Ellis with lots of time, and only person that could have caught that was the man holding the marker. A flag on the play. Steve Gabbard, no flags, pardon me. Steve Gabbard, the man in the area pressuring the quarterback, but that's a rather unusual throw.
Well, that's what they want him to do. What Florida State did, they sat in a zone. They were sure it was going to be pass. It was pass. Ellis had absolutely nowhere to go. Had he done that earlier on a couple of those throws, it wouldn't be 21-0. That's what Al Groh, you see Al there, what he's been trying to get Ellis to do, get rid of the ball.
3rd and 6 at the 29. And off the hands there of Keith Bing, the fullback. And Florida State has had everything going their way on the road so far.
And as if things aren't bad enough, it's prime time again.
You have to worry about the pressure on the kicker, and then if you get it away, making sure you don't give Deion Sanders something to work with. He's averaging almost 19 yards a return. A low line drive. Sanders gathers it at the 32. Gamecocks have it covered pretty well, but he's still not down. Finally, about 5 or 6 catch up. Deion Sanders improvising. 37 on the kick, 4 on the return. To you by Mazda and the exciting new Mazda cars and trucks for 1989. By Atra Plus, Gillette made it smoother. And by the U.S. Army. Learn how to get an edge on life. Be all you can be. With Kevin Kiley and Chris Fowler, Bob Carpenter here in Columbia. Home team down by 3 touchdowns as Peter Tom Willis has been the story of this game so far for Florida State at quarterback, spelling the injured Chip Ferguson. They will run the reverse. Now they threaten to pass off it, and Ronald Lewis keeps the football and maybe gets back to the line of scrimmage. They, of course, will at least fake the reverse almost every time they run the sweep, so the defense has to be alert at all times.
That's a tough play to make work against this defense. You see, look at the black shirts as they go right, so you see why they run it. But David Taylor, number 42, is going to come up from the inside here. Reacts very quickly. The contain is there, and they're able to stop it. I'm sure they were well versed. One of the problems getting ready for Florida State is trick plays, so you practice a lot against them during the week.
Derek Frazier was the containment man. Timeout has been called by the Seminoles. So the clock stops with 11:42 second quarter, 21-0 in favor of the visitors. And Chris Fowler, they came in here confident tonight, didn't they?
They did, but there's some stunned folks right now in some black jerseys on the South Carolina sideline. This just doesn't happen to them in Williams-Brice Stadium. We've talked about the fact that they've won 13 games in a row here. Florida State, the last team to beat them. Now they're just kind of walking around with a classy look in their eye, trying to pump each other up, talking about regrouping, but this is unheard of for most of these players, guys.
Well, this is an even game is what it is. It's an even game with the exception of a couple of interceptions and the special teams, the block punt. It's not a matter of offense and defense. They're pretty even when you get to offense and defense.
Well, following our game tonight, John Saunders will be on SportsCenter to bring you a top 20 wrap and bring you up to date on the rest of the day in sports. Finally, then, at 11:30 p.m., a Major Baseball special you won't want to miss. The Major League Baseball 1988 Japan All-Star Tour, a team of Major League stars led by Oral Hershiser, the World Series MVP. They'll take on the Japanese All-Star team in Tokyo. John Miller and Don Sutton call the action tonight later on ESPN. 2nd and 10 at the 35. Here's Lawrence Dawsey with it. And he's got blockers accompanying him. Across midfield, feeling his way for more yardage. And finally inside the 30-yard line, Robert Robinson finally able to make the stop. 40 yards on the play for the Seminoles.
I'll tell you, Bobby, I almost jumped out of the booth to make this tackle myself. I was the closest one to the ball. They run this thing twice in a row. There is literally not a block. There's nobody to block. Look at this thing. Nobody shows up 20 yards, 30 yards. Finally, somebody shows up in the open field. These are linemen out there. Those are offensive linemen downfield, and they had to go 40 yards to find somebody to block. Part of their offense. A great call. 2 in a row.
Joey Ionata, 69, went all the way down there with left guard Mike Morris, number 60. And here's Sammy Smith, pumping his way down near the 20. Nose guard Tim High got him. But it's all Florida State right now. Bobby Bowden, the master of trickery. Special teams, offense, defense. He always seems to have something up that crimson sleeve of his. Right now he has a 2-to-1 advantage in total yards.
Let's make a point here. It was not trickery, however, that got them on top in this game, Bobby. It was that long pass to start and a block punt.
2nd and 6 at the 21. Gamecocks coming, but were they drawn offside? Kurt Wilson and Tim High across the line of scrimmage.
Offside. Defense. 2nd down.
Watch Peter Tom's head right here just before they jump. Watch that. See that move right there?
Yeah, a little hip action.
A little hip action. And that's, I don't know, that's borderline. If he does that on every play, it's okay, but I'm not so sure he does it on every play. That little twitch brought about 3 guys.
2nd and 1 at the 16. Peter Tom Willis firing successfully 6 straight times. Dave Roberts, a tight end who caught a touchdown pass recently, has checked in for the Seminoles. 2 tight ends set with Roberts and Tom O'Malley. And it's too far for Ronald Lewis. 2nd and 1, kind of a throwaway down. Throw the ball and see what happens. It's still 3rd and 1.
When you're playing defense and you're down 21-0 at home in the 2nd quarter, backed up to your own goal line, your brain is fried when you go to the line of scrimmage. They can do anything. Down and distance doesn't matter, you know, and that's the most difficult and frustrating thing about this. This is a proud defense. Their pressure hasn't worked. Their coverage hasn't worked. Their special teams haven't worked, and they're in big trouble. And Joe Lee, really, I don't know what he can do at this point.
Trying to tackle somebody. They have 3 tight ends in on 3rd and 1. Sammy Smith, tackle for a loss. Patrick Hinton got him well behind the line of scrimmage. And the big play that South Carolina was looking for defensively.
Against pressure, very difficult to run wide. I mean, they're selling out. They have nothing to lose. Watch Hinton, left side of your screen, 46, takes on the block. He's going to go down, but he keeps his head up. So he knows where the ball carrier is, and he gets Smith.
Fought off Tom O'Malley and still made the tackle. Patrick Hinton, a big play sophomore. We've seen him now 2 weeks in a row. Richie Andrews, 5 of 11. This is a 37-yarder. He's been erratic this year, and that one is off to the left. They have Bill Mason, who kicks from short range, but they went with a long-range man there. Still 21-0 in the 2nd quarter.
We talk all the time about football players having guts and courage on the field, but that's nothing compared to a story this past week where a player showed an amazing amount of courage off the field. His name is Mark Say. He's a wide receiver for Long Beach State. Now, he was attending a Halloween costume party last weekend when the partygoers were attacked by gang members, and Mark Say stepped in front of a 3-year-old girl to take a bullet and protect her. The good news is he's recovering nicely out of the hospital early next week. We certainly salute his courage.
Yes, we do, Chris. Thank you so much. Todd Ellis looking for something and finally going down out around the 25-yard line. Ran about 30 yards to gain a couple. And, of course, Mark Say, Long Beach State, a true hero. And his football career could be in jeopardy because of that. But what a man.
I think with all the stories you hear about college football that are not great, I think that is a great story. That's you can't do anything more than put your body in front of something like that.
Certainly our best wishes and prayers to Mark if he's watching this one here tonight. 2nd and 5. Ellis pitches to Harold Green. Maybe to the line of scrimmage. Tripped up beautifully in the backfield by Phil Carullo, a 6'2 senior.
He's
It'll
the
be
fellow,
3rd and 6.
excuse me, Bobby. He's the fellow that blocked the punt, a walk-on. He's worked his way up against some pretty good talent in front of him, and they have some great outside linebackers on this team. Carollo's a guy who's found his way into the lineup and made a contribution, certainly tonight with that block punt.
Hard to figure how a walk-on with this team would get any playing time at all. They redshirt all of their freshmen. They recruit tremendous athletes. It's 3rd and 6 for South Carolina. That one had some zip, and it was tipped, and Harold Green held on. Great concentration by the tailback on the best reception of the night for the home team.
Antonio Moss, number 99 in white, comes into this game. He's a backup end with 4.5 sacks. His best, their best pass rusher, Florida State. They do a nice job on him. And then Ellis, again, he gets the ball tipped by the secondary, but Green, with 2 receivers in the same area, Leroy Butler over there too, makes the catch.
So out at the 46-yard line, the Gamecocks with a 1st down. Green, short side again, bumped out of bounds by Tracy Sanders, the right cornerback. 21-0, Florida State leading here. Notre Dame, number 1, hammering Rice today. SC doing the same to the Bears of California. Miami, the same to Tulsa. All the big teams are winning big today. UCLA had a bit of a fight with Oregon on the road.
Oregon, very fine team.
2nd and 9 at the 47. Fake pitch to the left, roll out right, has to dump it. Good pressure back there by 93 Shelton Thompson, the left outside linebacker. Trent Simpson, the intended receiver, but it was the pressure of Thompson that dictated the quick throw.
Well, there's not supposed to be anybody here. This is a naked kind of a rollout, and Ellis, I think, is surprised to see Thompson. Again, that ball has got to be thrown perfectly because the coverage is excellent by Florida State. They're playing pass now, and it's going to be very difficult if they don't establish a running game.
The intended receiver, and pass interference as Tracy Sanders was all over Anthony Parler. That was kind of a crazy play right from the start. Odell Haggins, the nose guard, slipped, so there was no pressure at all on Todd Ellis.
Well, they had a blitz, and they picked it up very well. The offensive line did a nice job. There was crossing patterns going both ways across the field. Sanders was there, but he got there a little bit too early. Coverage really wasn't that bad again.
Pass interference on the defense. Spot foul. 1st down.
Again, you see the coverage. The coverage is really not that bad, and I don't know if that ball could have been caught, but Sanders did grab him before the ball got there, so that's a penalty.
Tracy Sanders out, Corian Freeman in. 1st down at the 43 of Florida State. Harold Green. Maybe 3 yards. Odell Haggins, the nose guard. Kelvin Smith, the inside linebacker on the stops. Clock runs, 7:05 before halftime. South Carolina has to get on the board on this drive. Harold Green is checked out. Mike Dingle is in. You saw number 3, Eddie Miller, check in. He'll come to the bottom of your screen on 2nd and 7.
I'd be thinking run here with Green out of the game.
Mike Dingle looking to throw. And this will be easily picked off by Dedrick Dodge. Back to the 25-yard line. Dingle was hit as he was throwing it and got absolutely nothing on the toss.
For a team that runs so many trick plays, they certainly don't get fooled too often. Tremendous pressure. I told you, I'd be thinking run. The reason is Green's a better receiver. That's why I said that. Well, here's the pressure on the corner, and the ball is either tipped or just not thrown well. Tremendous athletic ability there.
That's Corian
Freeman coming in, and then the ball just way underthrown. And this will be the 3rd interception. However, Todd Ellis did not throw it.
So Dedrick Dodge with his 4th of the year. He's run one back for a touchdown. First down Seminoles, 6.5 left in the half at their 25. Sammy Smith will keep. And Ron Rabune, the free safety, coming out to the corner, making a nice stop. Ron Rabune, a California boy, hasn't played much lately.
When you think about that play we just saw, that was a great call. They bring, because as soon as I saw Dingle in the game, I thought it was run. You would think Florida State would be coached to think the same thing, and yet they were there for the pressure and there in the secondary. Tremendous play.
Second down and 8. Anthony and Lewis out to the left. Carrying the ball is Marion Butts, the backup fullback. He backs up Dane Williams. Butts has carried the ball now 21 times this year, has a touchdown. He's a 6'1", 248 junior, so he is big. And a flag is on the field and a face mask call. Mistakes keep piling up for the home team.
Face mask, 5 yards on the defense. First down.
Lesane starts at 6'4", 210. He's a good leaper, but Weldon couldn't find him.
Wide open, Lesane. Again, you're right. He's got that vertical leap, no pressure. Unless if anybody can get this thing, it's a 33-inch vertical jump. If he'd have had a 34-inch vertical jump, he might have caught it. Of course, Weldon hit the long one when he opened up the real long one, but he liked that. That's what I mean about guys being serious. These guys, these second, third team offensive guys, just want to just rip their shirts off if they get so hungry late in the game like this.
No, they want to see some stats in next year's media guide under their name. Dexter Carter escapes one tackle, still with balance inside the 5 to the 4-yard line before James Latimer, a backup defensive lineman, got him. Great balance by the junior out of Baxley, Georgia, Dexter Carter.
It's a nice average there, unless I'm mistaken. That's 8.16. That's 8 1/4, right? 8.25 a carry, not bad.
Well, he's known as the most finesseful, if you will, of the 3 tailbacks. Chris Parker, Sammy Smith, the others.
This is something they need to work on now. It's a goal line offense, and this is something that they've really not been good at this year.
It is Carter. He got into the end zone, but there are 2 flags at least on the play. Pat Turner on the stop. Carter took a pretty hard hit at the goal line, but we'll check the flags. $12 minutes and 47 seconds remaining. And it appears to be against Florida State.
Holding on the offense. First down.
Ball will go back to the 14. First and goal there. Bruce Lesane, bottom of your screen. Slot back, split backs behind the quarterback, Casey Weldon. Motion man is Dave Roberts. They're looking for Lesane, who has it at the 3. They just cannot stop the 6'4" junior. Stephon Williams on the tackle.
Nice hit at the end of this thing by Stephon Williams. It's that quick post again. Weldon's glued to him. Coming across, and he'll deliver the ball. But watch the blow by Stephon Williams. Ooh, good shot there. Good pass by Weldon. Now, Weldon's hungry for that touchdown pass.
So they got 11 of the 14 back. It'll be second and goal at the 3.
If they don't run that sweep again.
A fake to Carter, and easily for the touchdown, Casey Weldon. His first running touchdown of the year. In fact, it's his first running play. And Weldon into the end zone. That will make it 51-0.
Blocked by number 88. Great block on Stephon Williams at the corner. Now Weldon on just a naked boot here. He beats Taylor. But I don't know if you'll see him at the end of your picture. Watch number 88. He held this block. Lassane held that block for about 5 counts. And that was the difference in Weldon getting into the end zone. Wide receiver block. Good one.
Richie Andrews stretching out his leg one more time tonight. He is 7 for 7. And with 11:46 remaining in the game, Florida State is absolutely hammering South Carolina. 52-0 Seminoles.
We're not a company,
but outstanding people come to us every...
Is Todd Ellis still the quarterback? Talking to Al Groh, his offensive coordinator, before coming back onto the field. Todd Ellis tonight, 7 for 18 for just 67 yards. No TDs, of course, and 2 interceptions. 11 interceptions in his last 4 games he has suffered. Give this to the first man through, Harold Green. Green will be back next year. Todd Ellis will be back next year. Mike Dingle, a sophomore, will. Fullback Keith Bing will be graduated. And they got some young talent on that offensive line. Ike Harris is a sophomore. So is Calvin Stevens, Mark Fryer, a junior. Randy Harwell and Paul Shivers will not be back. 2nd down and 8. Ellis out to the left side for Keith Bing, his fullback. Corian Freeman on the stop.
Life of a defensive coordinator, Joe Lee Dunn. Last week he was being called a genius for stuffing NC State. This week, most points he's ever given up, or at least South Carolina has ever given up, while he's been the defensive coordinator. Previous high 34, Georgia Tech, but they ran 2 back for touchdowns on interceptions. So tonight has been a rather ugly affair for Joe Lee.
First down at the 34. Harold Green with the pitch. And coming up to make the play on him was Kirk Carruthers, 45, a reserve inside linebacker. James Chaney, who backs up Odell Haggins at nose guard, also in on the stop. So the clock keeps running with 10:20 remaining in the football game. Pretty good secondary members there. Deion Sanders, you saw Dedrick Dodge next to him. Yeah, Deion always knows when the cameras are on.
It's a nice mustache he's got there, too, all trim.
Wonder what he wore to the ballpark tonight. He's a pretty snappy dresser. This one intended for George Rush. Out to the left side. You're wondered by Tommy Henry, a freshman.
Excuse me, Bobby. If you're wondering about the most points ever scored against South Carolina, way back in 1920, way back there, it was the Naval Academy. Next week's opponent, 63 points. That is as yet not in jeopardy.
Well, Florida State's had 56 against them twice. 52 tonight. 52 unanswered. 3rd down and 7 with just under 10 minutes remaining. They still had time to get off the snap, according to the clock.
False start on the offense.
Chris talked a little bit ago about the press guides. SIDs in these programs, both of them are excellent. As you see, Joe Morrison. SID is a big part of any program, and Kerry Tharp here at South Carolina and Wayne Hogan at Florida State did a great job helping us prepare. Believe it or not, we don't do all this on our own. At least I don't. Bobby, do you?
Some of it.
Some, yeah.
No, those guys are great.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Sports information directors, where would we be without them? And I know our producer, Buddy Godelli, feels the same. They don't just help the announcers, they help all of us. 3rd and 12 at the 32. Keith Bing, the fullback, with the carry. There's a happy bunch of cheerleaders. Well, maybe they'll get a chance to be number 1.
That's a crazy scenario when you think about number 1, that all of the different things that could happen, and Notre Dame playing USC. That really makes for an interesting bunch of possibilities.
Rodney Price, nice high kick again. Deion Sanders, that is 28. Unable to get on track in the return department tonight. So the ball changes hands. We'll take a timeout. 9:07 left. 52-0 Florida State.
I don't know. What are you gonna do? I don't know. I'd go to college.
Me too.
If I had the money.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do? I don't know. What are you gonna do? You don't want those fries.
What are you gonna do, Jack? Eat your way to college?
Yeah, really? I'm going to college on the new GI Bill. You serve full-time in the armed forces or part-time in the reserves, and you earn a lot of money for tuition.
The GI Bill.
Are you using that pickle?
For young men and women in the armed forces, it's a great place to start. See a local military recruiter.
For lunch, the Porsche 944 Turbo generally prefers Ferraris, although it has been known occasionally to snack on Corvettes.
ESPN is your ticket to the NFL when the Los Angeles Raiders and San Diego Chargers go head-to-head. Marcus Allen spearheads the Raiders' double-barreled silver and black attack. The Chargers brace themselves for the collision with their AFC West Division rival. The Los Angeles Raiders and San Diego Chargers battle head-to-head on NFL Sunday Night Football at 8 Eastern, live on ESPN.
Welcome back to Columbia. Bob Carpenter with Kevin Kiley and Chris Fowler. 52-0, and there is Brad Johnson, a 6'6" freshman quarterback who also plays on the Seminoles basketball team. A rather wobbly effort, but complete to Tom O'Malley. Brad Johnson is out of Black Mountain, North Carolina. He's passed on the year 11 times now, completed 7, has thrown for a touchdown. 56 points, as we mentioned earlier, a couple of years ago. They've given up 56 in this series twice, South Carolina has, to Florida State. So it appears the Seminoles will go to 12-3 in this series that started back in 1966. There's the pitch to Keith Ross. Keith Ross, a senior tailback who has seen some action on the kickoff return team.
South Carolina coming into this game 5th nationally in points per game, 11.8, 7th nationally in total yardage, 258 plus almost 259 yards. I don't even want to think about those averages now. They just doubled their points average almost.
First man through is 32 for Florida State. That's Paul Moore, a freshman fullback out of Miami. Down to the sidelines. Here's Chris Fowler.
Okay, Bob. Florida State's new quarterback, Brad Johnson, also a very good basketball player. He started 15 games for the Seminoles, an excellent three-point shooter. They tell me when he visited Florida State in his recruiting trip, he ate the chicken fingers at training table prepared by Miss Betty. He loved them so much. That was one of the reasons why he chose to come to Tallahassee, for whatever that's worth, Bob.
That's why we came to do the game, was Miss Betty's chicken fingers, wasn't it?
Whatever it takes to get him out of Black Mountain, North Carolina, huh? 2nd and 6 at the 45. The pitch to the deep man, Keith Ross. Some sticking going on as he gets a first down near the 35-yard line of South Carolina. Following our game tonight, Bill Patrick and Charlie Steiner will be standing by at Sports Center. They'll bring you up to date on the top 20 football action and the rest of the day in sports. And then after that, it'll be Danny Jackson throwing the 20-game winner for the Major League Baseball All-Star team touring Japan. John Miller and Don Sutton call the action for you tonight, live at 11:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. First down at the 35 of South Carolina. into the belly of the first man through. That again is the fullback, Paul Moore. Is running it down the middle of the field, Florida State. Bobby Bowden may have given Brad Johnson his one completion, and now it's just time to run the football.
I don't know. I'd be amazed if they quit throwing the ball. Here's your misery index. And this is the most miserable of misery indexes that I have seen this year. 4 turnovers, 2 sacks allowed, which really isn't too bad considering drop passes, 7 for 65, and 1 block punt, and 52-0 ought to be on there.
That is miserable. A keeper on 2nd and 2. Where's this rainbow going to land? Intercepted. Number 23 for South Carolina is Dale Campbell, the defensive back. That's his 2nd picked off of the year. He earlier had 1 for a touchdown. So South Carolina gets a turnover and gets back the football.
Well, Miss Betty's chicken fingers won't help him on this play. This looks like one of his 3-point shots. Good pressure, and then a balloon, and Campbell just backing up, makes the interception. A moral victory, little else for South Carolina, but they're still playing defense, and you got to give them credit for that. Where does Chris come up with all this good stuff? I think he should be on more.
I think he's been in most of those restaurants and dorm food places himself. That's how he knows.
Miss Betty's chicken fingers, huh?
That's what he does between Saturdays. First down at the 9. You never see him until we get to the town where we're going, right? Fumble on the play, and Florida State gets it right back.
And we ought to punch up that misery index again and add that one to it.
That is
what a night.
That is Joe Ostazuski.
You were hoping he wouldn't get in the game. I know you were, right?
Oh, I can handle names like that.
That was all right. Well, it's just gone this way all night for South Carolina. This is one of these things where you're just watching the clock, hoping the thing's going to be over. Dingle never had it. Ellis hit him in the chest and that lower part of the shoulder pads with it on a plastic plate. It bounced loose, and what was his name? Ostazuski caught it.
You got it.
I can do those, too.
First down at the 13. Keith Ross. Helmets clash at the 10. Mike Tolbert in on the tackle. So was Mike Conway, a defensive back, in the ball game here late. Clock continues to run down to the 5:25 mark. And beyond. 52-0 Florida State. What a night for Peter Tom Willis, the junior quarterback, replacing the injured Chip Ferguson and engineering a Seminole rout. And Kevin, we really need to go back and tell folks what a tough place this can be to play for a visiting team. We saw the opening ceremonies, and it's not just the crowd, but South Carolina, a very fine, proud football program. This just does not happen to them at home.
No, well, it's only the first time since 1967, if the score stands, that they've been shut out twice in the same season. And of course, Georgia Tech did it. That was an unbelievable surprise, and this is a major surprise too. Certainly the score is.
Movement on the right side. Seminoles had number 89 over on that right side. Check it, looked like 88. Bruce Lesane, and the artist Woodard came across the line.
Well, when you think about 75,000 people here, and you're right about the opening ceremonies, that pass by Willis, that first pass and the block punt, it took the crowd out of it, and that was it. The game was over right then, and they haven't let up since.
Looked like it was Dave Roberts, the tight end on the right side, the man who moved on the play. It'll be 3rd and 1 at the 5. Keith Ross clotheslined inside the 5. David Taylor with a big hit from the right end position, 42. He's still coming off an ankle injury, had not played in 4 weeks up until the North Carolina State game. Good quickness he has out on the corner. And with 4:13 remaining, it'll be inside the 5 on a 4th and 1.
I think it'll be a nice gesture to punt here.
Which direction?
Yeah, right. That's right. That'd be a better gesture, wouldn't it?
This is where I would drop kick it and go for the 3. There's no pressure. but there's a first down. And maybe a touchdown. Paul Moore, the fullback, just simply refusing to give up as he fights into the end zone, and it's 58-0, and that's a new high point for this series in terms of points scored by one team.
Well, here's one of those guys I was talking about, Paul Moore. He wants to show him what he can do, and what he can do is carry 3, couple of 4 guys into the end zone with the ball. They don't know what the score is, and again, that's a problem when you're getting hammered.
Now it's 59-0. 4 minutes and 7 seconds remaining. Florida State unreal tonight.
I'm supporting Ed Booth.
Ed's been a judge.
He's fair. He's been a judge before.
He knows how to make the hard decision.
The circuit court rules on everything
from divorces to capital punishment cases.
We need a person with Ed Booth's tested experience.
He's fair, and he knows how to make the hard decisions.
Ed Booth for circuit judge, for a judge with experience.
Power. The most exciting program you'll ever see is coming to your city. Power. Somewhere in a distant time and place, 7 men would be born who would affect the human race. Huge men of awesome size, speaking truth and smashing lies. Power. Can dreams really come true? The Power Team is coming, and they're coming for you. Power. Don't miss the Power Team.
John Jacobson, the Power Team, November 14th through the 16th. Leon County Civic Center, 7 p.m. Admission is free. For more information, call 562-1065.
What is that, sir? That, Charles, is my new Porsche 928 S4. Shall I have the chauffeur put it in the garage?
Fire the chauffeur.
South Carolina in need of a lot of help here. This one is way out of reach. 4:07 remaining, 59-0. Florida State. It is a misery index on the Gamecock sideline tonight. It hurts a little more when you're losing like this. And it feels a little better on the other side. The diehards remain. Carl Platt on the kickoff return had a seam up the middle and took it out to the 30-yard line. Saturday, ESPN, your home for college football, beginning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern with College Game Day. Tim Brando and Beano Cook for the most comprehensive hour in college football. At 4:30, it's game 1 of our doubleheader. Pittsburgh takes on Penn State. Now we know where we're going next Saturday night. Those Cowboys of Wyoming, number 10 in the nation, they can put some points on the board. Randy Welniak and company down in Houston at the Dome, and those Cougars are going crazy as well. You got to calm yourself for this matchup, Ken. It's still a week away.
You know, there was a game back in the early 70s or late 60s when Wyoming played Houston in the Dome, and Houston just crushed Wyoming. I'm wondering if they have played them since then. It's when they ran that beer option way back.
3.5 minutes remaining in this one. That's Eddie Miller. Out of bounds on the near side as Todd Ellis delivered it outside to Eddie Miller. Raiders and Chargers, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's tomorrow night as we continue our coverage of the NFL Live on Sunday nights. And Heisman Trophy winners galore. Marcus Allen, Timmy Brown, and Mr. Baseball, Bo Jackson.
Yeah. They'll both be looking for a high inside win in that game, and he's liable to get it from San Diego's defense.
3rd and 5 at the 35. 3:23 remaining. South Carolina now with a mission, that is to avoid the shutout. And it looks like Todd Ellis was more interested in getting his body out of the way than standing and taking a licking. Anthony Moss was all over it.
Give you an idea about the magnitude of this win for Florida State. Last year, Gamecocks allowed 151 points on the year. Tonight, 59 points in one game. Wow, it's incredible statistic.
Nobody back to return this supposed kick. Good rotation on the spiral. And he gets a good bounce inside the 20, does Rodney Price. That's where Florida State will take over to the sideline. Anybody still down there with you, Chris?
Oh, a few folks, Bob. I'll tell you what, Bobby Bowden and Florida State would dearly love to play Notre Dame for the national championship. Something in their favor. Lou Holtz's son, Skip, is a graduate assistant. He works out with the receiver, so maybe he can exert some influence on his father. Wonder what he thinks of Miss Betty's chicken fingers. We'll have to check into that. Get back to you later, guys.
Every time he comes on, I start to salivate. I think we're going to get something new on the menu.
Well, I tell you, what a fine gentleman Bobby Bowden is. His team has more than 600 yards in total offense tonight. Bobby was just as relaxed as he could be in his hotel suite yesterday, getting ready for this one. 1st and 10 at the 15 as FSU behind quarterback Brad Johnson operates. 42 on the carry, and that is John Murna, a senior out of Lanham, Maryland, listed as a defensive player. So he gets to do something Kevin Kiley seldom got to do, and that's carry the football.
Carried it on the scout team. I ran for over 60 yards one afternoon. It was a Wednesday, though.
Oh, Wednesday. A Wednesday. I like it. 2nd and 7 at the 18. Ball carrier Keith Ross tripped up in the backfield on a good defensive play by Dave Durkin. So we've got 2:05 remaining in the game, and let's talk about our Casio player of the game tonight. Is there any doubt that it's Peter Tom Willis?
Look at those numbers. 17 of 20, and we were discussing what the possibility was of him playing well tonight.
That's 85%, partner.
That's not bad.
3rd and 6 at the 19. Little fake, little sprint out, and a pass to the right side for Scott Damari, who has the first down. And just as importantly for Bobby Bowden's cause, he stays in bounds. As soon as they move the chains, that'll get the clock moving again. It sits at 1:35. So we've got Pitt and Penn State for you next week on ESPN, Wyoming and Houston. The Cowboys and the Cougars beat their opponents today by a combined score of 117-21. We'll all have our track shoes on next Saturday night at the Astrodome. Little draw play. Keith Ross. I don't remember seeing a draw play tonight until that time.
No, I was thinking the same thing, or a screen from Florida State. And you would think a team that is finesse team, you'd see a lot of that. But everything else worked so well. And really, you know, the other thing was they didn't really have long yardage either. They didn't have too many plays where they were 3rd and 7 or 2nd and 8 or something like that where you would use it.
Well, under a minute to go. Thursday Night Football will have Tim Brando and Stan White not far from us here. Orangeburg, South Carolina. The Bulldogs of South Carolina State against Eddie Robinson and the Grambling Tigers. They'll fake the reverse, and Keith Ross will keep it this time. He's down to the turf. Less than 30 seconds remaining in the game. Then they'll move the chains and restart the clock with 26 seconds to go. Bobby Bowden, his counterpoint, Joe Morrison. Gamecocks will be 7-2. This will be their first loss of the season at home. Florida State will improve to 8-1 on the year. This one also snaps a 15-game home winning streak for the Gamecocks.
Their last loss was to Florida State.
Yep, a couple of years ago. And that is it. It is over. 59-0. Kevin, what an effort by Florida State tonight.
Florida State trying to get back to #1. Went a long way tonight. USC, great program. A lot of pride. They'll bounce back.
Florida State wins it, going away and away and away. 59-0 here in Columbia.
From about the 44-yard line and not the 42. Willis drops back. Blitz coming. Fakes one time. Now drops back and throws the post. Deep. He's got a wide open receiver. Touchdown. Catch. Terry Anthony. Florida State burns the blitz with a post bomb. A 44-yarder from Peter Tom Willis.
The Bobby Bowden Show is brought to you in part by Hardee's.
In one of the finest displays of total domination in college football this season, Florida State rolls over the South Carolina Gamecocks 59-0. Welcome to our program. And Coach Bowden, defense, offense, special teams, everything went together perfectly for the Seminoles Saturday.
Yeah, played one of the best ball games I bet Florida State has ever played in the history of their game. Don't know how much because it's based on how good South Carolina played, but we were actually playing a football team that we thought might beat us up there.
It was predicted to be a close, low-scoring type football game, right down to the wire, perhaps. Jam-packed Williams-Brice Stadium, 75,000 on hand. Seminoles playing on the road. 59-0 the final score. A lot of highlights coming up, and Burt Reynolds and Vic Prenzi share a great moment in Florida State football. Stay with us as we enjoy Florida versus South Carolina Saturday night in Columbia, South Carolina. And, Coach, you were going into the ball game with a brand-new starting quarterback, Peter Tom Willis. A lot of Seminoles there.
Yeah, we had our band, the Marching Chiefs, there. And anytime that I see them there, you get a good feeling you're going to win the football game because they give you such great inspiration. Our cheerleaders there did a great job. We had quite a big crowd there. A lot of mothers and fathers of our football players were there. We win the toss, ask for the second half option. We kick off. Dedrick Dodge there makes the tackle. They fumble. We recover. It doesn't count because he was down. First play of the ball game, they throw the open swinging gate play. There's 16, Tracy Sanders from Bradenton, Florida, making the tackle. They fumble the football here, and number 36, Kevin Smith from Jacksonville, Florida, recovers. And that's the beginning of their troubles right here. Watch here.
It's a bad exchange.
Yeah, bad exchange, fumbled. We did the same thing the other night, by the way, on the play. And Kevin Smith. And here comes Chris Parker, a freshman from Jacksonville, Florida. We start him in there at tailback. He did a real good job. But here's the play of the game right here. Peter Thomas shows you how strong his arm is there. He couldn't follow through on his throw. But he hits Terry Anthony from Daytona Beach for a 44-yard touchdown pass. And a great play by our offensive team. Our offensive line came together for the first time this year. Well, the first time they've been together, I guess you'd say. So they hold they hold pretty good, period. And Peter Tom cuts a beauty loose down there, and Terry Anthony tries to make a great catch out of it by bouncing it off his chest.
First pass of the game by Peter Tom Willis, a touchdown for 44 yards. Quite a confidence builder.
Yeah, that'll get you confidence pretty quick, won't it? And he really did. John Easton does a great job with our receivers. I thought it was very obvious. They all caught well. And here's a real fine tackle on the kickoff. I see Corey Freeman, number 10, in on it. He didn't initiate it, but he's in on it. And a great play there by Odell Higgins. Number 53, watch him. He had the best game of his career. Watch him. Watch his hit now. It's a very dominating hit. Now, he had the best game of his career. I thought that, look at this, Kevin Smith, he got around that ball a lot, too. Eric Hayes and Steve Gabbard, boy, they played well. And we used a three-man rush. There's old Stan Shiver from Tifton, Georgia, making his usual good plays. And here's, we put a little sprint out in for them, and you had a great block by Dane Williams there, and his mom and dad was there from Leesburg, Florida. Larry Moore was there. I saw him and some of his folks.
I had to enjoy it.
Oh, yeah, we had and a great throw there and a great catch by Ronnie Williams, who's from Jacksonville, Florida. Peter Tom Willis, he calls Morris, Alabama, his home. I call Birmingham, Alabama, his home. That's my home. We got to advertise a little bit.
Perfectly thrown pass.
Yes, it really was. And here's, boy, he did a great job of this. Another catch by Terry Anthony. And old Peter Tom's hot, and the offensive line is protecting so well. Now, you can't hold them out any longer than that. You know, Pete was still trying to get loose. To get that bomb off, and there's Felton Hayes from Brandon, Florida, Bill Reagans from Live Oak, Florida, and there's a block punt by Phil Corallo, Tony Moss from Miami, Florida, picks it up, John Hadley from Orlando, Howard Dinkins from Jacksonville, Florida, all around the ball, Dodge from Mulberry, Florida, Alfonso Williams from Lloyd, Florida.
You didn't even have the block on, did you?
No, we did not. Jim Gladden, who works with our punt team, he said, you know, I think one of the best ways to block a punt against him is to make it out like you're not going to block it and send somebody in. That's exactly what he did. Our coaches had several schemes for this game that they told me they were going to try to do, and I was amazed at how many of them worked. Just like the first touchdown that Peter Tom threw, the name of that play was 60 Gamecock. The coaches had spotted something, Wayne McDuffie and Mark Richt and our coach and John East and them, that they thought would score on them. And just like that punt there. There's Odell Higgins there making another great play at nose guard. Eric Hayes. Eric can run like a halfback now. Number 78 out there. Look at Gabbert putting good pressure on. His mother and dad was there. Leroy Butler, another Jacksonville, Florida, led by Deion Sanders. Look at Deion leading and blocking, and Odell downfield blocking, and Felton Hayes from Brandon, Florida down there blocking. And here comes Sammy Smith into the ball game. And Sammy ran well for us again. He played. Dexter Carter played. Keith Ross played. We played four tailbacks. And I tell you, their morale has been amazing, too. Dane Williams there again from Leesburg making another fine play. Dane blocked well this game. He and Marion Butts really gave us some good fullbacking. And Paul Moore. Paul Moore from Miami, Florida played well. Marion Butts, of course, is from Sylvester, Georgia. And they all have another year. Now, here's a great fake by Peter Tom. And he hits
Dave Roberts.
Dave Roberts. Oh. Who coaches him? Oh, Brad Scott. Okay, I call him Brad. Okay, Pete, come out and hit Dave Roberts from Griffin, Georgia. Reggie Johnson there from Pensacola, Florida, who played well and blocked well, and he's been injured. Tom O'Malley played well. I wonder, our senior tight end, the only tight end that we're going to lose this year. He played well, caught a pass. They try a little pass, but Corey Freeman from Jacksonville, Florida harasses him. And Dodge gets another interception. Deion, again, leading and blocking. Deion's a team player. He's a team player. People see him a lot because he's so good. He puts the team first. Peter Tom on a great fake and a nice catch by Terry Anthony again.
Those guys made some great catches.
Yeah, and here's a good run by Butts. Here, about a 40-yard run, which he gets all the way down to one and don't score. And I'm sure he's going to get kidded about that. He is going to get kidded. He's 241 pounds now with a 40-yard head start, and he lets that guy get him on the one. But I can see why. I can see why. He was going to drive towards the goal line, get his pads down, and, of course, that momentum threw him right on the ground. And there's a touchdown by Marion Butts. He deserved it. Tony Yeoman's in there blocking. Kuipers. Mike Tanks in there at center, yes.
First time in a month.
First time in a month, exactly. And, of course, Pat Tomlin, who's just been great for us for the 4 years he's been here. And who am I leaving out? Gee, I hope I didn't leave anybody out. We got Kuipers and Yeoman. Yeah. Mike Marsh played good, too. Now, there was Keith Carter from Miami, Florida, who played made a good play there. He was being harassed by someone else. You see, Joey Ionata, that's who I left out. His mother and dad were at the ball game. And, gee, we're going to miss the Ionatas. They've been with us for 8 years. And here's Dexter Carter making an outstanding play there, keeping a drive going from Baxley, Georgia there. And then Bill Mason comes in and kicks a field goal. And we take a 31-0 halftime lead. And I tell you, that, I wish it was that easy coaching. I mean, you could relax so much.
Tim Corlew is going to come talk to you on Monday morning or Tuesday morning and say, give me more playing time, Coach. That's the Seminole punter. He did not punt in the football game Saturday. 31-0 at halftime, everything going Florida State's way. We still have some more exciting highlights from the second half. In particular, nearly flawless football in the first 30 minutes of play. In the second half, more of the same coach at Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, Keith Ross there returns the opening kickoff there, the second half kickoff. We hand off to Dane Williams, taking it in there behind John Ionata and Tony Yeoman from Jessup, Georgia, who's, by the way, their parents were there at the football game. Peter Tom hits Lawrence Dawson there from Dothan, Alabama, and boy, Dawson. And I think we get tacked on a little temper there because a little personal foul over on the sideline. Pat Tomlin played good at tackle again for Florida State University. Tom O'Malley in motion here. Look how Pete just laid the ball in the lane there, and
sidearm.
Yeah, he had to get rid of the ball before the receiver got open. So Pete just threw it in there to a spot and let him run under. See, he had to get rid of the ball quick. Pete's wondering what's going to happen. But an excellent job. Of course, Dawson knows where the goal line is. That's what I like about him. He knows where that goal line is. 7 touchdown catches, my goodness.
And 14 catches.
Yeah,
and 50% of the touchdown.
Yeah, he just got excellent time. Look at Gabbard. Gabbard has really come on, number 76. You don't hear that much about Steve, but he has played so well for us. And his mother and father were there at the ball game, by the way. I saw them after the game. Here's Dion. They had him defensed here. John Hadley had sense enough not to clip there. Here comes Peter Thomas, one of our sprint outs, and Chris Parker there. Look at that great catch. Watch this. Let's show it again here. This is Bruce Lassane. Look at Pete. Throws under duress. Watch this catch. That saved the first down. Bruce Lassane from Wildwood, Florida.
Junior.
Did a great job there. That's Keith Jones' hometown, by the way. And he's Steve DeMari here from Miami, Florida. Made a nice, not only a nice catch, but he had a run. Oh, my goodness. We needed 18 yards. He got 6 of it and came back. Look at Chris Parker here. Chris Parker, freshman from Jacksonville, Florida. He's in there. Fullback is Victor Floyd from Pensacola, Florida. Now watch this catch by Dawsey. Is that Dawsey again?
Yeah, Lawrence Dawsey. He's interfered with. The flag was thrown. 2 people hit him, and he still held on to the football.
He's got great concentration on the ball. He really does. He has great. But Pete gives him a chance to catch it. You know, a lot of quarterbacks will throw that thing a mile over his head, and everybody say, ooh, you know. But Pete gives him a shot at the doggone ball because he knows Dawsey will go get it. And so, anyway.
45-0,
45-0.
You got to be feeling pretty good on the sideline about this.
Yeah, look at that. Brian Davis there from Tallahassee, Florida.
Lincoln High School.
Lincoln High School. Steve Harden's high school. Look at that.
Whoa.
Real fine. Oh, what a fine hit. Fine hit. Look at 93 there. Shelton Thompson from Lakeland. And getting a good pass rush. Moss here. And old Eric Hayes, who looks like belongs to a dancing school. Those little narrow hips of his. Now he's lost that 305 pounds he came in with this year. And here's reverse. Casey Weldon in there at quarterback. Dawsey runs. Look at Economou. Nick Economou leading down there, and Haywood Haynes from Bartow, Florida. And Economou is from Melbourne, Florida. Okay, you got to help me out there. Here's Dexter Carter there running the football. Picked up a beautiful block there by Victor Floyd there at fullback, and Casey on a bootleg here. Casey's got the good speed. That young man's going to be a tough quarterback one of these days because he's got something the others don't have, great speed.
That's his first rushing touchdown as a Seminole.
That's his first one. He's done that in practice quite a few times, but there's a lot of things you can do with a quarterback like that because they got some movement. And all these quarterbacks have got their strength. You know, I mean, all of them have their strength. 52-0.
You used 3 in the ballgame.
Well, we sure did, and they all produced touchdowns. They fumble the football there. Look, now there's Joe Oster's. Joe and Henry. They both played a lot, and Keith Ross there running the football. Now he's in there with Paul. You don't see a great run in a minute. Watch Paul Moore. Here's Keith Ross again, getting some good blocking. Number 65 there, Haywood Haynes. There's Brad Johnson from Black Mountain, North Carolina. Now his family's living down in Rome, Georgia now. Watch this run by Paul Moore, freshman fullback. Watch Paul. I mean, he just bulls himself in there. He's getting a little help there. Boy, though Paul just, watch him. Watch him now. Watch him.
He drags.
Look here. All right, he gets hit right there. Now watch. Picks up 2 more guys.
That's a big hit.
He'll charge him. That'll be charged fair, shouldn't he? I mean, he cares about 3 of them in the end zone. Great job. And Richie Andrews kicks the extra point. His dad was there at the football game. Came out and worked out with us the night before the ball game. There's Bill Smith, who's been with us for 20-something years at Florida State. He's the only guy that runs on the field the same pace I do, which is slow. But anyway, it was a great win for Florida State.
59-0, the Seminoles win their 8th consecutive ball game, and that's the 2nd longest win streak, Coach, in your 13 years here at Florida State. Congratulations.